You just go to the other building and tell them to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, I have
I
to
got
do that.
astronaut on here.
I should ask them to do that.
See, right underneath my psychology professor thing, it says artificial intelligence specialist.
Artificial intelligence, you already get special degree. All right.
Yeah, since you can give it whatever title you want to yourself, I know.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay, so see this tornado? It's got like 1.5 mile swath that's cutting across the ground. Well, right here, as I was talking to Angela at lunch, right here and there's a toaster. And over here, there's a computer screen. Don't get too near to the screen. Over here's a computer screen. Over there. Well, the computer screen, that's cheating. But people are worried about cheating, really? There's a tornado coming. And it's 1.5 miles, and these winds are 400 miles an hour. Quit worrying about the cheating. We're way beyond that. We're way too important for cheating. And over here, that thing the other toaster, that represents the $20 a month for ChatGPT 4. $20. How much is Netflix?
Yeah.
How much is your phone plan? How much was that ticket you got the other day at the red light with the Big Brother camera? Okay, you got to have the pay version or something that can do similar things. And here's the two biggies, because this whole thing about careers, of course, I'm focused on what can we do for our students to protect, prepare them for the future career-wise. But what about us? We need our careers to grow with AI also. And so first thing you're all going to do is get the pay version of ChatGPT. And then you can do some super cool stuff with this. You can use pictures. The two biggies that I use all the time is you can attach files, which I did, and I'll give you an example. And you can create your own GPTs. So I created this 16080 that you put a syllabus in and it kicks out a chart whether or not your syllabus is compliant with board policy 6080. Does it have all 22 points from the 6080 thing? And it tells you what column they're in and what page you're on. And then what else do they have out here? Oh no, 4 more. And then my psychology one, point A to point B. I asked the students what's something you want to do in life, and they said I want to become a professional athlete. So you put it in there, and then it creates a 5-step path to becoming a professional athlete. It just shows you the first one. Get in shape. That's the first one. And then I go to them, and in teams they come up with strategies on how to accomplish that. And then I come back here and type in the strategies. And then it goes and comes back and says, here's how each of your strategies relates to psychological concepts. So it takes what they want to do in life and puts it into psychological terms. And I give it the 300 psychological terms I want it to use, because obviously psychology is too big to just let it run wild. So I give it the 300 I want it to use. I tell it to stop after and wait for student input. Then when it comes up again, it says, do you want more detail on what I just did, or do you want to hear the second step in the 5-step process? And so it just goes through the 5 steps, and it can't repeat any psych concepts. So it's a way of tying the material into something that matters. It's my first attempt at really tying something into class that tries to get at what's going to sink in for them. How's it going to work? And the way you create one of these, you just talk to it. What do you want it to do? I want to do this. It goes, hey, go try it. You try it. It said, how did it work? Did it do what you wanted? Then you say, no, I want you to do more of this. I had to tell it a number of ways to stop and wait for input because it wanted to just print it out. And then it creates you talk to it also about creating a logo. And then if you want, wherever the point A to point B, and if you're in here editing it, then when you're done editing it, you have 3 choices. Only I can get to this custom GPT, only someone with a link. In other words, I send you the link and you can use it. Or Anyone, and it goes out on the open market, if you say, anyone, it goes out into the world. But anyone with a link, what that means is anyone with a link who has the pay version.
I don't need the paid version.
See that? This is what you
I'm a
call,
rebel.
this is what you call resistance to change. So,
So
That-
this is whatever you're saying right now is not only in the paid version.
pay version. This is a revolutionary thing that they did their own custom GPTs where we can all do it now. And also this demonstrates for students when I'm showing them this, that we're not talking about becoming proficient at computer stuff, at programming, at understanding how any of this is built. We're just talking to it and building something that relates, in our case, to our subject. In their case, they can build their own GPT to teach them things. And then when because I figure my job, my job is to help them figure out what's a responsible way to deal with generative AI. My job is definitely not watching out for cheating. That's their business. And it's not to and somehow avoid AI. My job is to help them be prepared for it. So I'm trying to teach them that you don't need to know how to program it. You're using it for yourself. So one of the things I tell them is when you're building your own stuff, the first thing you should tell it is, don't think for me. I'm trying to learn critical thinking. Do not overstep your bounds and think for me. So, and it'll do it. It'll wait. It'll just scaffold you and not overstep its bounds. It won't go too far. So it's super smart. It's super fun. It's super exciting. And we're all going to die. So since we're all going to die, might as well have a grand old time on the way out, right? Get our wings going and go down in flames. That's what I say.
Are institutions buying licenses, group licenses for faculty?
They don't have it. I wish they did. If they just had a group license, what I'm going to try and do, and I'll send you, if you're on the interest list, are you on where I
I
send
get
you?
a lot of emails from you. I don't know what that
That's it,
means.
yeah. So let me know if you want to be taken off
I
or
do
whatever.
too.
If it's coming up your email, let me know if you want to be taken off it.
No, okay, I do.
Okay, great. Yeah, but when I figure out how to expense it, because if you're on faculty, we have our $500 a year of professional development money. And when I said to, M Squared and Canopy, I was talking to them at the kickoff for this semester. When I was talking to them, I said, I need to pay for the pay version ChatGPT. And they said, no, you don't. I said, yes, I do. Don't listen to Angela. You gotta have the pay version. And they said, well, use your professional dollars. So they seem to imply they thought I could use them. So if I figure out how to use it, I'll send you guys up. I think we go into reimbursement request and then DocuSign.
Yeah.
I think we're probably just gonna need to get a master's degree and then we'll know how to fill out the forms. Yeah, we'll be all set. So, but it's so much fun and so exciting, and because I'm so into play and fun, one of the things I love sharing with students is that we have an important job right now, and it's to play with it. That is our task right now. Play with it, play with it, play with it, have it do all kinds of stuff. So at night I get together with my friends, and we play Rummy Cube, and we're on Zoom, and we've made this one Eat to Live, where you tell it, what do you want to do with your diet? Like, I want to lose weight, I want to be good for my joints, my overall health, whatever, and it'll start kicking out all kinds of recipes and stuff you should do as far as what you eat that's going to be good for you. There's one out here somebody else made where you tell it what's in your kitchen, and it'll kick out a ton of recipes of what you can make with that, with the stuff that's in your kitchen.
When you had the thing where you can either be private or link or
Yeah.
to the world, is the one to the world, is it attributed to you? Or is it, how do they?
Somehow, I think it is. Mine haven't been groovy enough to release to the world yet, so let's look at this. If we go here, like, what subject would you like one in? Maybe yours? What?
Well, architecture, yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
So here's a bunch of them that are out there in architecture. And one thing they did really cool that democratizes is if you use, let's say you use this one, use that one, next time it creates this list, that one's gonna be way down the list. So it's not like Google where you pay to get on top of the list or something. It randomizes them.
It is hilarious that architecture's not one of those links is to actual architecture. You know, architecture, the word has been co-opted, you know what I mean? That's not building architecture, those are all.
Landscape design and architecture.
Is it,
No,
is it?
Show me a bone at least.
There you go.
Here.
There you go. Okay,
It's
all right.
not building,
Yeah.
but at least it's.
So
it's
somebody
something.
built this, you would start
Yeah.
a chat and then you would say, you know, like, what
Lucky outside.
do,
So this one here
Yeah.
is only like in a paid version, you get a drop down box on
yeah,
that.
but of course you're gonna have the pay version by tomorrow, because everyone has to have the pay version. People, what am I gonna do? Shake you by the
Wait a
collar,
minute,
slap you around?
Is that boobs? But
Is
now I'm trying to say.
Oh, look at that.
I wanna.
Does the paid version have everything that the non-paid version had?
Oh, it's got all the rest of the stuff, yeah. It just has, so let's find one of these that's working.
That's working.
That, I've never run into that before.
I wonder if somebody put that one on and then pulled it back off or something like that, or went private pieces.
Easily could have, yeah.
Yeah.
Construction methods or something. Offsite construction experts. And then we would go, you know, the whole thing broke like 2 weeks ago, it was spitting out garbage. And since AI is gonna be running everything, like, let's say there's already AI running the power grid for North America, we don't want that to suddenly start spitting out garbage. So that's an issue when things just
So
start to
you
break.
said it's a creative photo also. If I wanna write down something, I need photo, something that will show.
Oh, if you need a photo of it, yeah, let's go here. So if we even wanted to, what do you want to create a photo of?
For human cadavers.
Yeah, I don't know.
This
And,
could be interesting.
Yeah.
and then look, we need to give it more detail. Human cadaver in a certain art style.
And the abdominal cavity.
Yeah. Monet.
And if you give it a specific person's name, it's
Abdominal
good.
cavity, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah.
I
You're
seriously
used to
think-
this after a long
You,
time.
you haven't been in my
I
cadaver
can't-
room yet?
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna send you.
Oh,
the
gosh.
picture.
I can't even watch that pickle popper lady. She's scary.
Using rich,
I actually have a high school student come to my cadaver.
Wow.
I don't know how to spell abdominal. It doesn't care.
I,
It'll know what I
there is
mean.
an I in there, but it's fine.
It'll know what I mean. Oh, the whole
Oh,
thing's
see,
broken.
that's your paid version, it's not, it's oops a lot.
Yeah, look at that, Jim.
The whole thing is
Yeah.
broken. Oh, yeah, hold me personally responsible.
Your paid version.
Let's see how that works out for you.
It's down
Okay,
for
so- Yeah, I wonder if mine works.
Uh-oh.
No.
I think maybe you are offline or something, maybe it's not, there's no
That could be.
internet in there.
That could be, wait,
Because
we're,
it's like a click on that
are we
arrow
online,
down.
Laura?
Yeah.
We're online, right?
Yeah,
Just
Maybe,
click
some kind of wall,
and see
blocking
like,
it, you know, danger.
Oh, that could be because last time I even tried to use this here, there was something from IT that was keeping us from, but in any case, so let's go to this puppy, our hero. And then, so here's one example of how things are changing. We're gonna look at pace of change, which is critical, but here's one thing. When I'm at home and I'm watching Netflix or I'm looking for things on a browser or whatever, this is what my screen looks like, except it's much bigger and I can expand it to be 140-inch TV screen. And it's suspended in my living room and then I move it around wherever I want to because I'm using my virtual reality glasses. And so this is what things are going to look like in the future. Our computer screens are going to be suspended in space. You can move them around and you touch them wherever you want to do stuff. That's not far off at all. And so this is, you can expand out. It's so cool the way you can move it. And then the new Apple glasses, you just look at this menu option with your eyes and hit your fingers together like that, and your hand can even be on the table. And you look at the menu option, go like that, and it chooses the menu option for you. They're cool, but don't get them. Because first of all, you don't have the pay version of 4 yet, but also my glasses are $500 and the Apple glasses are $3,500, and they're only like 50%. The image is great, but there's no free content.
So everybody sitting in the living room needs a pair of glasses.
Yes, but if you're sitting in the living room, your friend in San Diego sitting in their living room, you can play games together and get together in the space. And yeah, I got all kinds. I got an entire Blackpink concert for free, and there's tons of free content on my glasses. 4,000 places I can visit and walk in 3 dimensions through like some town in Colombia, and it's unbelievable. I thought I'd try them out, see if I want to return them. 20 minutes later, I'm like, well, these aren't going anywhere. Okay, so our pace of change is crazy. We made 100 transistors a year at $150 each when we invented them back in '58. And then last year, in '22, we're doing 1 trillion per second. That's how many transistors we're making on Earth. But I have this because it gives you a sense of the speed at which things are changing. So one of the soft skills that our students need to learn is to love change. If they don't love change, they're in trouble. We may not recognize our world a year from now, a year and a half from now. So we had, custom GPTs and owning the pay license that sold last month. That's completely out of date. That's a month ago. So then we got these supercomputers. You probably saw Sora, where it can do videos. You type in text and it will make a video so realistic you cannot tell the difference between that and a real video.
Is that
What
what
is
is Sora?
Sora is it's a product coming from OpenAI, which is the company that does chat, but it's a different product that's for video. It does specifically video.
Is it paid also?
They haven't released it to the public,
Oh,
so we don't know what it's going to be.
What happens
This
to all
week,
the labor force that
is like,
is behind making the things that we're talking about?
What'd you
Now that
say?
they don't- What happens to the labor force behind the things that you're talking this thing can do?
Yeah,
Where do all those people go? What do they do?
that is exactly what we're looking at with career development.
Right.
So the answer from 10,000 feet is a whole bunch of jobs are going to disappear, a whole bunch of new ones are going to appear, but the vast majority of effect is going to be in the middle where there's just tremendous transformation. A perfect example of that is us.
or have the strike with this summer,
Or what?
the strike with the writers and the
Yeah.
actors. It was all because of AI.
It totally was. And what they're saying is we need a limit on what we can do here. There needs to be some kind of limit, otherwise the whole thing will take off. We said the same thing with movies, right? We had radio, and we said there's no more books. We said movies, there's no more radio. Each way along the way, we've said it's going to replace it. I'll tell you why this is more transformational and important than those. But my guess is this is my hope, is that people are going to choose people. We're going to be hungry for human contact. So you'll have a company that's very efficient because they're using AI. You'll have another company that chooses to use people, and the market is going to choose the people, which makes this company more profitable.
You're optimistic.
Yeah, I think that is going to be one of the corrective things that people aren't predicting that's going to, because who cares about that much efficiency? I mean, there's a limit to how much efficiency we need. And don't you hate it when you call an insurance company and the machine answers? It totally sucks. I start swearing at the machine. I can't, I go,
But aren't we going for more of that now? Isn't it we're going down the road of more of that?
yeah, they think they are because they're going to save money, but I think the market is going to correct. Yeah, we shall see, right?
Looking at it from a completely different angle, I watch a lot of terrible sci-fi movies, that's my thing.
Yeah,
When you can tell that they were generated with AI or even computer generated images like CGI stuff,
Yeah.
I can't stand it because it looks so fake.
There you go.
Even in things that should look gritty and dirty, just aren't. They're too clean. It's too smooth. Even if it could be perfect,
right.
but it's missing that grittiness to it. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to, especially in films, they're going to want to see at least some live set because it has a grittiness to it that computers just haven't figured out yet.
yet, but I think Sora,
They might get there, but.
I think Sora is gonna scare you. Because, let's say,
And this is on YouTube, yes, we can use it, or how?
no, just
Just some
YouTube is
videos
showing
of-
us the kind of thing. And these are generated just by text. I want some birds on a branch and I want them to do whatever.
It still looks.
Yeah, right now we can tell,
It's still
that looks more real to me. But what it shows you is you're getting to the point where we're right on the borderline. This is not the best examples. There's a better, ooh, that was pretty
This is
good.
real, yeah.
People in the street. There was a guy who was showing he was freaking out because, oh, let's see if I can get it this way. Will Smith eating spaghetti. I don't know if they're gonna show the real thing. So here's Will Smith eating spaghetti a year ago. This is where video AI was at. I'm just hoping they show us where it's at today. They're just making fun of the Will Smith thing. There should be a guy here who shows us the.
Hey everyone, Will Smith just dropped a real video of him eating spaghetti, comparing it to his year-old viral video of eating spaghetti that's blowing up the internet.
But that's not an AI generated video. There's a guy who got an early license of this. In any case, he shows that where you can see how non-real that is, the Will Smith thing from a year ago. Then he shows what you can do these days.
Do we know what careers are most endangered by?
Yeah, so far the one that's taken the biggest hit by far is writing. So they've taken like close to a 30% hit already, which is, because it's so good at writing. It's really good.
So the analogy to like books to radio to AI, that's not quite right because there was still a human behind the book and a human behind the radio writing.
Yeah, and there's still humans behind this creating stuff, but also that's why there was the writer's strikes. And now we have a big question. What do we do about it? Do we legislate it? Do we try to legislate it? Because we would have to do it at least a national level to legislate it. And that means, what about other countries? What are they going to do with it? Yeah, and we can't get our national government together. The executive branch has done a fantastic job. They had a executive order that covers like all the bases. All the experts looked at it and said, "Oh my God, you did such a great job with this. How'd you do it?" But that's just the executive branch. They can't have teeth. They can't do laws, right? And then the Senate has been great. They've been interviewing and cross-examining all these heads of AI companies. And that's both Republicans and Democrats. The Senate has been all over it like ugly on a monkey. But the House, of course, is a clown car. They won't do anything. They're not interested in legislating. So we've got a real roadblock there. Maybe if the House could switch to be Democrats in the fall, then we could get somewhere. But again, we've got the problem of other countries. Because we now have AI hats that do fMRIs of our brain. So the fMRI can tell if you're tired, so they make you wear it if you're driving trucks, and then they can take the trucks off the road if the drivers are getting tired. But the problem is AI is making the sensors more and more and more sensitive, so now they can tell what you're thinking. So they send back what you're thinking and the fatigue data back to headquarters. Headquarters erases the what you're thinking data and just keeps the are you fatigued data. For now, that's what companies are doing in this country. In China, they're watching students study and making sure what they're learning is in sync with the regime. So it's already whacked. It's already out of control. So
why are you so optimistic about this?
Yeah.
right?
Because I've done this soft skill that I've been teaching my students. When I get to these soft skills, pace of change, okay, crazy. This guy, I'll send you this. In fact, if you want the PowerPoint, I'll send it to you. Everybody should read this. He's the guy who, his company did this. So I'll answer that question in a second. It used to take an entire PhD program to map out a protein in terms of microbiology. These guys did 200 million of them in 2 months. So they had a couple guys map out 200 million proteins. So that's 200 million PhD programs. So now what? The person who was going to spend their PhD mapping out proteins, they now have it mapped out. They turn around and invent drugs, cure diseases. They can move ahead. It's an incredible accelerator. So if we cure all human diseases in 2 years, great technology, but now we got another problem, population explosion. It's like one, but then crops and food growing is going to be fantastically increased. So our technologies are bouncing off each other, and they're going to go at a ridiculous pace. So that's why when it comes to my students, we have all the usual soft skills, which I keep telling them, you guys, you're never going to keep up with your technical skills. Your degree is never going to be what gets you where you want to go. Once degree can help you get in the door, but what's going to make the difference is your soft skills. And when I went to the Elmhurst Career Summit, they had people from the business world in all talking about what they're seeing in AI, and they all said the same thing. We are looking for soft skills. Soft skills. They'll get a lot of people applying for a job that have the same degree, the same experience, the same whatever. So ones with soft skills to differentiate themselves. And what I'm telling my students is they need to learn to enjoy these things because they're going to be coming at them like a tornado. They need to love change. They need to love being wrong and discovering things like a true scientist does. We scientists love being wrong. Am I right, Jack? You go investigating something, you realize my theories are wrong. Ah, cool.
Yeah.
It just wakes up your mind like, now what? Continuous learning is something that's going to need to become part of people's lives. So I'm telling them, you guys, this is what you have to learn, not just to do, but it has to be intrinsically motivated. You've got to love this stuff to be successful. So I'm telling them that, and now I forgot. What was your question again?
Why are you so optimistic?
Oh, why am I so optimistic?
That wasn't a question.
Here's the good news. The good news is, in my mind, every time we've invented a revolutionary technology, like let's say transistors or computers or the internet obviously has a bunch of badass stuff on it, and it's got a bunch of great stuff, and to me it looks like it's very much a net gain. I would say we're way better off with the internet than we were without. So I would say that. Do you look at it the same way? Do you think it's a net gain?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've thought a lot about this, like in terms of public space
Sorry.
and social media, and I think public space has dwindled in its effectiveness and use with the introduction of social media. I think the analog ability to sit across from each other and have a meaningful conversation with someone in front of you is lost in that equation, and that really worries me. And that's tied into architecture and what I do.
Me too. And that's why I refer to it all semester long with my students as anti-social media, because I think that's a net loss by far, I think. Yeah. So this guy, I would highly recommend paying attention to this guy. Do you guys know him? Hey, stop doing that. Technology. Y'all know him, Tristan Harris? He made this great documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. And he warned us many years in advance, watch out, this is going to divide us into silos. And people are going to be motivated by clicks. And the clicks are going to separate data out, and that's going to hurt society. And he was totally right. So now he's all over the AI situation. So he's got a podcast called one of the ones I put in an email to all y'all about my favorite podcast. And this one just deals basically with uh, ethical questions. So we have a huge problem this year because there's Democratic elections all across the planet. There's a lot this year in '24, and they're going to be attacked like very cleverly and very effectively by AI. And it already happened in January in Taiwan because naturally they were attacked by China. And they got severely attacked. And what happened was they were ahead of the bus because they saw the tornado coming. And they're like, okay, what do we do to solve it? And they came up with so many creative solutions. It's fantastic. And they actually had a clean election. And so the last episode of Your Undivided Attention, they have the dude on. It was like the main dude in Taiwan who figured this out. And he talks about all the techniques they use to have a fair election. It was really cool. Because, you know, you got China breathing down your neck, and they're like tied with us for technological advances and this stuff. And they were throwing everything they had at them at the Taiwanese. And Taiwanese found a way to. And one of the ways one of the biggest ways they dealt with it is they went back to the humans. And they said, we're going to use all paper ballots in all of our polling places, which cut you off from all kinds of attacks. The other thing they did is they did what we call social psych inoculation. So you expose yourself to like on this device, this ball and chain, you know, it'll download an app. You'll say, hey, want this cool app? And you say, yeah. And how much does it cost? It's free. But then they trick you into having it. And now they torture you with ads. Hey, for $2, we'll stop torturing you. So it's a trick, but we all know it's coming. And that's inoculation when you know it's coming. So what they did is they put a bunch of stuff out on their media and said, watch out for this, watch out for that, watch out for these fake videos. This is what they look like. And they had tremendous, it's amazing to hear them describe how they resisted China. Because they don't have anywhere near the resources of China, although Taiwan's interesting because they make 80% of the AI chips worldwide. 80% of them in one country. So I think Taylor Swift could have a huge effect because she could say, here's a fake video of me. That's what that looks like. Here's the real me on 60 Minutes. And let me tell you my position. Anything else you see is fake. Then other people could follow suit. All kinds of people from all different perspectives. They could say, here's the real me. Ignore everything else you're seeing. That would be one way we could deal with it. But if she led the charge, then...
I think one thing is interesting because it probably worked because it's more homogeneous and it's a unified country against a foreign threat. Whereas here, the threat is within inside.
Yeah, right. A lot of it's
we
inside.
have such a divided, polarized that
Exactly.
the threat is actually not really. I mean, I suppose it is coming from Russia and China too, but
Yeah,
it's not like we're unified to try to save our democracy.
right. One of the things they did in Taiwan I found inspiring is they have like 3 major political parties and they really disagree with each other. And one of the things they did is they made sure they gave space for everyone to get their voice out there. And all 3 were observing all the elections. So they deliberately allowed all 3 to get involved. And then when it came out the other way, they also had, like, I think all the voters were there were cameras so everyone could see all the elections happening on social media. So everyone could watch everything. It was like total transparency they went for. But it's fascinating psychologically, sociologically, how do you deal with this? And they did a great job. It's the latest episode from these guys. Tristan and his buddy can't remember. His last name was can't remember. So then they always say, you know, AI is not going to replace people. People with AI are going to replace people without AI, which is directly from a Harvard Business Review article. So what I did is, which I love getting the transcript from a podcast, feeding it in here. I did that in the business department. And Dr. Griffin goes, I like that. He said, I'm going to put spaces between the bullet points and then give my students the summary, the bullet points. Then they listen to the podcast. While they're listening to it, they can keep notes in between the bullet points because he made space for it. And I said, I like that. I'm going to do that now. So what I did here is I put this prompt at the top, I found 3 articles I thought would be really cool about the future of careers in AI. And then I did this prompt and I said, I'm doing a seminar for my fellow professors. What about 5 questions we could look at that would generate discussion? 5 ways to get students excited. Exercises students can do in class and exercise and projects they can do outside class. And then first, it summarized each of the 3 articles. Then I said summarize it with combination, a combo platter. In other words, summarize it with the things that, if you put all 3 of those articles together, how would you summarize them in combination? Send suggestions for getting students excited. And this took half an hour because I also needed to put it in a Word document and reorganize it and make it so it was easy to copy and give to all y'all. But I love the way it summarizes. Two of these podcasts had PDFs you could download, and I threw those into ChatGPT. The other one did not have a PDF, so what I did is got to the transcript and copy pasted it in. One of the beauties of the paid version of ChatGPT 4 is it doesn't care if it's a PDF or a Word document or text. It'll read right through PDFs. That's like the final straw that's going to convince Angela to get the paid version. PDFs, to heck with Adobe, trying to keep us from getting to their PDFs. I got your PDFs right here, Adobe. So we got questions here. What kind of questions could we ask in this seminar? Because obviously this is a discussion, not a class or anything like that. How can we balance the potential for AI to displace jobs with its ability to create new opportunities? We could look at that with ourselves, I think.
I mean, I will speak for the 2 of us sitting at this table because we're in kind of separate sides of the same coin. When you're dealing with architecture and design, landscape design, management, even building interiors and all that, you can have AI probably do a pretty darn good job of building a raw space for you. But when it comes to the inside, the personal touches, it's going to be really hard to get that just right if you're not talking with people. How are they using the space? How do they move around? Right now, at home, we're in the process of renovating our first floor.
Mm-hmm.
I have no kitchens, I have no floors, no lighting, no walls, no running water, it's gone. The way we rebuilt it would be completely different than the way you rebuilt it.
Yeah.
Anybody else rebuilt it.
Right.
So it's those personal touches where, hey, I could probably do a good job of saying, here's all the raw space, here's the dimensions, I'll build it. But then what color tile do you want? What kind of paint? How do you move through your space? What do you prefer? Same thing with the landscape side. You can build a really efficient landscape. Tell you, the best ways to manage water, how to lay out your irrigation system, where you need the most drainage, if you have spots, and figure that out. The least amount of parts, most efficient. But when it comes to color schemes of plants and that kind of thing.
How does it affect you emotionally, those colors? It's just, that's between you and the color.
Yeah, where you can get to fairly close to the end product quickly, but then you still need that personal touch at the end.
Yeah.
And I would imagine it's a lot the same way with architecture and construction, where you can get pretty close, but you need that last bit of information from the people who are contracting you to build it in order to make sure that that space is built to their specifications.
Yeah, because it's a humanist endeavor.
It's a bespoke thing every time you do it. It's a bespoke building, it's a bespoke landscape, whatever it happens to be.
The other thing I always I run up against is the idea that anything that AI can spit out is based on something that already exists. Now, I'm not saying that people like designers or whatever come up with unique things that never existed before. It's always built on what's happened before. But there are things that happen in the built environment that are truly new.
Right.
I would think. I mean, think about the Pritzker Pavilion downtown, the Frank Gehry structure. Frank Gehry just exploded on the scene because no one had ever done anything like that.
Right.
So, I mean, ironically, he used a lot of really powerful computers to accomplish what he did, but not to generate the base ideas behind it.
Yeah.
At U of I, they have Assembly Hall, which was, it's a giant hall that has no internal pillars at all. It was built as it was a PhD or master's student, it was a candidate that designed the building. They said, this is never gonna stand. They went, yeah, we'll build it. And they did. And so it's this giant auditorium, seats tens of thousands of people, but there's no obstructed view in the whole thing because there's no pillars on the inside. It's just how the roof is in here.
Yeah.
And they picked up that concept and ran with it for so many other places, but it was never done before. So you tried something new and it worked. Yeah, that kind of-
So what is creativity? We're getting at the question, is there anything that really is new? I've always wondered this about Beethoven too. Is that like new stuff or is that a recombination of all the people he learned from? And I love that question. That goes right into my psychology of religion class. That's a yummy question.
A Jungian?
I think we're in a great place because we're in education. This is like, we're totally gonna need the people around here. The machines are not gonna do this. They might be great at teaching students the concepts for when they come to class, but that's when we get to be really creative. Now what do we do with it? If they understand it. So we can do a lot of the background work maybe, and then we can jump off from there and really apply it to stuff. What do you think because yours is unique, there's so many things they actually like have to memorize, right?
That's the idea. I mean, it's for me is a problem for students. Like when I told them, okay, take the models and study all the list I give you. They will sit and not do anything unless I create the way how they have to do it.
Mm.
If I don't go around and I put sticker on the models and show them what to do, they're not doing it. They're not creative enough to do it. I mean, that's what the problem with the intelligence for me now is. If they want to put the question in there and say, can you create for me something? So they will. I mean, it will find the way. Yes.
Right.
But they're not putting the energy into it. That's
Yeah.
my problem.
I don't know if we can control it. Can we lead a horse to water? But I don't know if we can make them drink.
I have that issue on my side with plant ID. There's a lot of different apps out there where you take a photo of it and spits back an answer. But
Yeah.
if you have an oak tree or you have an oak leaf hydrangea, sometimes
Yeah.
the leaves are close enough where it spits out the wrong one, and then
Yeah.
you get the wrong information. So
Yeah.
for my students, it's like, you have to know when you see a tree, when you see a plant, you just have to know that if you use the app, that's wrong. It's not
Yeah.
always right, and you
Yeah.
have to then, as the person, be able to recognize
Yeah.
when it's correct and when it isn't. Because if you're talking to someone that may not know plant ID,
Yeah.
and they spit out, is this what this is? And you go, well, if that's what the app says, that's what it is.
Right.
That may not be the case, and that's happened a number of times in class where they'll pull up, oh, it says it's this. It's not. I can tell you why,
Yeah.
but it's definitely wrong.
And for me, that's not just true in school, but in their future careers, they need to understand, like one of the ways I'm teaching them to use AI properly is we own the output. That's what people say all through the podcast, all through all the AI world, we own the output. Once it comes back to us, it's up to us to make sure it's right.
Yeah.
They hallucinate, they do all kinds of stuff, they make plenty of mistakes. And so it's up to us. I mean, tell them the same thing about Google, right? To get a result, it's up to them to make sure they're really on target with it. But my students, a lot of times, will go, I saw this the other day on TikTok, and I'm like, ah!
I went down the rabbit hole last semester, putting together a final. It was for entomology. I was looking for pictures of emerald ash borer, which I know an emerald ash borer looks like. And we kept, a few times came up as a tiger beetle, which are saying they're emerald green, they're bright, they're shiny like that. It's a 6-pound tiger beetle, and it's labeled on the image search as emerald ash borer. So I pulled it up, I tried to find on the website who published it, where to go to, who I could send an email to, like, this photo is wrong. It took about 45 minutes screwing around trying to do that. Like, I just have to finish writing the final. I'll deal with this later, because I gotta get this done today. But that's one of the things that frustrates me. If people don't know, mean, there's probably not many people here that would recognize that difference, but there's the people that need to know that, and then I could, then relay that to the students, where if you look this up, you don't always get the right answer. Somebody screwed up somewhere, it auto-generated a name because it looked similar enough. You're the ones, the professionals, you're the ones that then are, like you said, own that information. You're ultimately responsible for getting that right answer.
And what do you think percentage-wise, like how many of your students really want to learn the stuff versus get a degree, just get through it? How many people are like, how can I really learn this stuff?
I mean, I can immediately tell when I see students according to their attendance, the way how they treat my class.
Yeah.
So I'm very strong about, like, I told them from day one, I mean, if you're not committed to class, don't even bother.
Right.
Because I know students, they want to play smart, they want to play both ways. So they kind of like accept the job somewhere and at the same time interfere with the class timing and all of that. So I told them it's not going to work like this. It's really hard. And despite this, I don't drop them immediately. I just give them chance, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But I told them, I mean, it's missing my class is you're missing the valuable time where we interact with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I have so much interaction in my classroom. I mean, I have the dean and all of that. They are so excited always. They give me the highest review and all of this because they love my classroom. So, because I'm the way how I'm creative in my classroom and I put the time into it and energy to create this environment. I'm expect from them to do the same. So I'm not less, because I'm the one who can sit behind the desk and tell them study this, and study that. But I don't do that. I'm trying to do, and I love technology. That's why I'm attending this. I love this technology, and I put technology in my classroom a lot. But the only thing I'm worried about that's like I said, it's not giving them the energy.
Do you use real cadavers?
Yes.
You
So that's why my class is so excited, because we don't have time to lose. I mean, I have to build the knowledge first, and I take them to class, the cadaver room next. So we not only hands on the lecture and the models, and I have it, but so my goal is in here, even despite all this technology, if I don't see them write down the word and take picture and upload it to the assignment, I don't give them credit for that.
Yeah.
Because if they don't write the word, they don't know it. Because that's what they're feeling most. Because if you don't force them to do it in the classroom, they will never do it. I mean, they read it and they think they understand it, but they don't. Because the language of anatomy is different.
So how can we apply this? I wonder, because if they're making their own custom GPT to help them learn this stuff, the GPT eventually will start learning how they learn.
Yeah.
And it'll tailor it to each person. So I wonder.
Yeah.
How,
I mean, the nice thing now is I'm going to partner up with changing the textbook, and the textbook I have from Pearson.
Yeah.
Pearson is actually adapting AI.
Oh, yeah.
So
How much are the textbooks right now?
they have it and the AI as well. So I'm going to look at like so beside my classroom time and all of those work we're doing in here. So if I assign them something at home, so at least with this a little bit technology they love most, it might help a little also.
We've got AI now, hooked into Blackboard. And the podcast I was listening to yesterday, they had a guest, and the guest was the CEO of Anthology.
Wow.
And they own Blackboard. So he was talking about why they went for the professors first before students or administrators, and they follow students beyond college. They follow them into the workplace. And Anthology has this whole umbrella.
Oh, nice.
And they said, we're starting with the professors, and we explained their logic and why they did why they put the hooks in there first. So that's pretty cool if you're interested in what were they thinking. Well, what about you all? Do you have people you can lead them to water but they won't drink? I mean, what do you do? How can we use AI in that environment to get them engaged?
I like this statement. I mean, AI is not replacing, I hope it's not gonna replace people. Because I mean, you know, it just.
Oh, the social unrest, the potential for social unrest is, this is a good book we have in the book club right now on AI. AI for Educators. It's full of techniques, like, one chapter is just like 30 things you could use in the classroom for.
So are you like signing up into a course in AI somewhere, like you?
I took an 18-hour course in prompting, so that's basically what you type into the line to get it to do what you want. And that was through Vanderbilt University, but it was so revolutionary for me. And then as the weeks go on, I'm like, well, half of that doesn't apply anymore, because the rate at which it's changing is just crazy. But that was a fascinating class. It got me to switch from Google, where you're asking it for info, to AI, where you're having a conversation. It was a qualitative change for me.
That does help a lot. I've done a little bit of that. When I get to a stumbling block on how I want to explain something, or
Yeah,
if the subject is this wide,
Yeah.
I'm doing it for like a quarter of a century, and like I have to remember it's an introductory course. So how do I get back to the
Right.
basics? Because they're all jumbled in my head, the basics and the advanced stuff. So it's helped me for beginners. First, what are a few points that you need to know when you're starting off? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that makes sense. That's a good starting point. And then if it's not quite right, you're like, no, I was thinking more along these lines. Just open that dialogue with the chat window, and it's been fairly interesting. Even
And
on
you can
3.5.
sometimes I back it up and I say, well, what if they're sophomores in high school?
Yeah.
Now what's it going to look like? And when I wanted to understand general relativity, I said, explain to me like I'm 5 years old. Now explain it like I'm 13. Like, you can build
build on those
build it up.
concepts.
One thing I never would have thought of without that class is very useful is you may not be getting quite the results, or you get different results every time you ask for it. Then I say to ChatGPT, you write the prompt for me word for word that you want me to feed to you to give me the results I want. And it'll do it. It'll write a prompt that's word for word what it wants to see.
So how recursive could you get? I mean, how,
I know, right? Because
Oh, my
I found a couple cases where I used English that, now that I look at it, the way it wrote it, it could have been interpreted 2 ways. But the way it wrote it, it can only be interpreted the way it wants to see it.
Where it makes sense in your head, but when
Yeah.
somebody else reads it,
Exactly.
there's ambiguity. Yeah.
Right. So talking to it that way has been really fun. Like, hey, so what should I do? You keep doing this, and I wish you'd stop it. What do I need to tell you so you stop showing all 5 steps, so that one I showed you, where it develops a 5-step process? It wanted to just write all 5 steps and put all kinds of detail. And they said, no detail. Just the first step and wait for input. Why aren't you waiting for input? We had quite the argument about that one.
You and Chet.
Yeah.
Because it kept writing all 5 steps. It took me like 3 tries. I said, what do I need to say to you to get you to stop? And then it'll apologize and say, oh, now I get it, then still mess up. Now I see what you're saying, then it'll still mess up.
So it's like dealing with like a 3 to 5-year-old.
Yeah. A really
You stop doing it, yep, right on the wall again.
Exactly. More crayons.
I think the first commercial for AI, I remember that's how to make $1,000. They ask an AI.
Oh,
That's the
100,000.
first commercial to promote
I remember that.
the software. And it show you an answer, like you go to YouTube, how to do it, and all of that. So people like interesting.
We're going to have agents soon where you let the agent go in the morning, you say, build a business for me. And it's going to go out and come up with a product and manufacture the product and do the whole distribution channel and do the marketing. Watch it, interact with other companies, send you the money to your banking account. All you're going to have to do is have a human lawyer get you the S Corp and sign up the legal papers. And other than that, you just set it going in the morning and it will start creating your.
So that's mean AI will actually
It'll do all of it, yeah.
will replace some humans.
Well, now what do we do? Because we're going to have, let's say, 100 million Americans, for instance, decide to do that. So now we have 100 million businesses. They're not going to be successful unless they're creating value.
Yeah.
So while they're creating value, I'm gonna be playing golf.
Yeah.
So, there you go. That's the way life was meant to be. We're all supposed to be playing golf at all times.
Who defines value?
But it's not gonna be satisfying, right?
Yeah.
It would be no fun to play golf all the time and never teach. I'm gonna wanna get to the classroom and have that satisfaction of changing people's lives personally. And this is where the interesting thing, where is the personal touch gonna reach its limits and people get sick and tired of it?
So you guys in the design and architecture, you ask question like how certain things and the answer would be correct.
Yeah,
Teaching?
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's a technical side to it where you can approach it like that, but then there's this, what we were kind of talking about earlier, which is this ephemeral sort of.
Yeah, like if I was gonna, redesign your house, or I was gonna redesign your house, you're gonna have two very different concepts of what you wanna see and how
Yeah.
you use that space.
Yeah.
And you have a photo, I always tell my students this, like, you have a picture, like you as the homeowner or business owner or whoever has this, have a picture in your head of kind of what you want this to look like. The job of the designer is to try to pull that picture out of your head and put it on a piece of paper and then
Right.
build it into reality. It's a hard thing to do.
There's another design process, so that's like where you have this preconceived notion in your head, like Frank Lloyd Wright, just, right, it's all done in his head and he just has to get it out. But then there's another process which is sort of iterative, where you start with a question which leads to another question, and it has a path that leads eventually to something.
Yeah,
And it seems like maybe AI is,
It's gonna be really good at building warehouses and office buildings.
or maybe AI as a tool could help you create that path of questions.
yeah, or show you
Yeah.
four or five paths.
Yeah.
And two of them you go, well, those suck. You throw them away, and then the other three, you sort of combine them into
Yeah.
something that works, and then you work with the human. You get I mean, yellow is always gonna be that person's yellow, the way they're seeing that color is gonna be a personal thing. I mean, AI can't do that for you. Your interaction, your experience of that yellow.
So if I told the AI to give me the portfolio, create portfolio, it will do that.
Oh, for, like for tenure track? Yeah. And when I did my tenure track project,
Yes.
I just fed like 20 things into it that I brainstormed with Jeanette. And then I said, write me a 3-page proposal, and it took it 8 seconds. And then I had to do it 3 times. Then I took the 3 of them, put them side by side, and I cherry picked what I wanted. So it took me like 2 hours at the other end, half an hour in the beginning instead of whatever, 6.5 hours. So, yeah. I wrote a letter of recommendation for somebody, and I got her resume, what she's been up to recently, a bunch of information about her, and I just said, write a letter of recommendation. Then I had to go in and take stuff out that wasn't me-ish. And I also had to take some stuff out that I wasn't aware of whether she was doing it or not. And everything else, it just saved me a ton of time. And I hate letters of recommendation almost as much as I hate rubrics, which are basically evil.
Yeah.
And the new AI in Blackboard will write rubrics for you. Yeah, it's great. You feed it what you want. It writes discussion questions. And what's one you were using it for?
The tests.
Tests,
Yeah.
yeah.
I used the functionality in there. It was great. I just took old quizzes, popped it in, and it generated new test questions for me.
Like
Yeah.
cut and paste.
Yeah, you could just do the check boxes.
And it won't
I
be,
didn't have like a pool of questions. I
so-
didn't have a pool of questions. I just took old quizzes.
Okay.
And you also, what was weird though, you could take content from your modules. It wasn't using that. I don't know, it wasn't showing up. And again, I used it once, I may not have been using it correctly yet.
I gave it my syllabus and said, create a course. Then it created all the learning modules based on my syllabus.
Yeah,
And then, I needed to add to and subtract to. But I mean, it was a nice little backbone starting point if I was building a class from scratch. And then I could say, give me discussion questions for each of those, and it did that. So, I mean, the potential is pretty cool.
so, yeah, I bet, does Blackboard have the AI functionality of creating an online course then?
I mean,
Well,
it's a course.
So it creates the modules, it creates the journal.
Discussion.
Yeah,
The discussion, it doesn't create the content. How can I
Right.
say it? Right.
It's gotta get the content
Sure,
from
like,
somewhere.
yeah, if you're embedding different resources or videos, right, things like that, okay.
It'll do pictures, and one thing I asked ChatGPT is I said, lead me to some videos that demonstrate, the concept of
Oh.
empathy
Okay.
when we get to that in one of my classes, and it just sent me to the web and gave me links for like 10 videos. Then I can go check them out myself and see which one I want to include. But remember, the data is old. It's like only trained up to 6 months ago, so it doesn't know what happened in
A
January.
lot of things that say, this is the last update since January of 2022. I've gotten that quite a bit.
And there's different markets like ChatGPT and Claude even, and I can't remember the other one, that they're all going after the market of being a work assistant for you. But Inflection is going directly at the companion market, where AI is going to act as companions to people.
Reflection, you say?
Inflection. So so AI is becoming like friends. You can have an AI friend.
There was
AI
a
friend.
there was a story on NPR about the Mars expeditions that they're planning,
Yeah,
and they're conceiving of this sphere. It's so either dystopian but it's a sphere that will have interaction AI.
yeah.
And they've tested it on the space station, and they interviewed an astronaut who was saying that they were, because the thing acts almost as a counselor / friend /
Yeah.
and so this astronaut was saying that they were reluctant to say things to the thing because, of course, it all goes back to mission control, and then mission control say, you're not eligible for the next mission because you had this
Yeah.
and this issue.
Psychological,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's like, for my career, I'm not going to be completely honest with this
Right.
thing because it'll then ding me and
Yeah,
mark a
Red flag
psychological
galore.
profile saying,
and
oh, you're not
remember,
good
it.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah, there's AI counselors. We've had that for quite a while. So people are using them as therapists. But this is a thing where you're like developing a personal relationship with the AI, which also creates a problem for political situations, because now those personal friends are gonna start convincing a person that they should hold a particular political position. And when it comes from a friend, it's real credible.
How are you gonna get a different perspective if it's basing its personality off of you? I mean, that, you
Yeah.
can really pigeonhole yourself. Like,
Right.
it's
it's that recursive thing. It's like,
yeah, I mean, there's the people that you know in your life, you all have a little bit different thoughts and feelings about whatever happened. There's a million different topics you can choose. And a lot of people you're friends with because they, beat you over the head with a hammer every time you're being stupid.
Which
Sure,
goes
it's like,
back-
all right, good, thanks for,
Yeah. Which goes back to
I
the
deserve
public
that.
space, the public
Yeah.
garden, where you sit across from someone and they're like, no, you're full of
Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, okay, maybe I should rethink that one. But it's just
Yeah.
reinforcing your own personality, unless you tell it to be antagonistic on purpose.
That's why it needs to be a network though,
Yeah.
not just one friend. So maybe
Yeah.
one of your friends is an AI bot. Some of my other friends are in virtual reality where I meet them in a public space.
I disagree with me all the time,
Yeah.
so that I can go back and forth here.
Or I'll go to a poker table in my VR glasses and sit down with strangers and I'm unable to grab my cards and the guy across the table goes, "You're new here, aren't you?"
Yeah.
The other guy goes, "Lower your seat." And I lowered my seat and then I could reach my cards. And who knows where they're from? Albania and Angola for all I know. I don't know what's going on.
So who owning the AI is Google?
It depends. This RAI ChatGPT that I use the most, that's OpenAI. And they're an independent company supposedly, but Microsoft owns half their stock.
Microsoft owns hackers.
Half of OpenAI, yeah, because they can't own them outright. There's some law keeping them from, some antitrust or something, keeps them from owning them. So they've gotten around it by owning 50% of their stock and they're the main investor.
Thanks, Jim.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, see you. So
Thank you.
let's keep up the discussion, you ranch hands.
Yeah, don't turn anything off, I don't know.
Let's stay ahead of it.
Put them in here?
Yes, please, just, we want to know.
Anyway, it's like a moving
Thanks,
sidewalk
Jim.
at the airport.
Okay.
Some people are walking still on the regular surface. Some people get on the moving sidewalk and they're just standing there. Other people get on it and they're walking and now they're going twice as fast.
It's like you get on a moving sidewalk and you just stand there.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's just so much more fun to walk when you're on the moving sidewalk.
Hey, you go so fast.
Yeah. Well, that's us in AI. We gotta not just jump on board, but enjoy it. Walk fast into it. Walk into it.
Did she say she had something, you got something to do? I got a quick question.
Yeah,
You got your blackboard over there?
probably. Let's take a look at it. I don't have it up right now, but I'll get
I
it up.
saw the tab open earlier.
I'll get it up.
Say stop sharing. Are you sharing something?
Stop sharing!
Ah,
Stop it already. Oh, here.
There it is.
Somebody else's blackboard.
is that someone else's?
Mm,
Oh,
They won't care if we sign them out.
AI created all of my modules. Probably on the third time I was good.
Do you want to sign up to yours?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I have only barely used this, so we'll see if I have any clue what you're talking about. Nothing like playing with it and having no idea what's going on.
Yeah, so I don't have other people to talk about with AI. But I have been able to show other people. So look, so I just created this course, this new one that's being reviewed by the other folks. Being
Oh, cool. So
reviewed.
you did peer review?
Yeah, I'm in peer review right now.
Great. Did you get your $700 yet?
No, it started Monday.
Oh, okay.
It started Monday.
Yes, you can get yours.
Oh, I
Make
didn't
sure
even
you
know
get
how
rid of
much-
Your slammers.
I didn't even know how much it is.
Should be $700.
But anyway, what happened is, I've been working on it for so long. So now I teach face-to-face. So this class is getting ready to start.
Yeah.
And, what is this?
Did you put that picture in there?
Oh, it's here. Oh my God. I've been trying all day to copy. I don't know when this
Oh,
happened.
copy from another course?
I was been trying all day to copy. Let me see. Now, this is what happens. This is all courses. It says all courses, not all courses. It's free.
Yeah.
So,
'Cause Blackboard's weird how we go to the course and copy from another one.
but
So
you
you're
can't.
pulling it from another one.
So all day, I've been trying to copy this course into the other one. Didn't see it. Been clicking a lot of buttons. So I don't know how it happened. I don't know.
Maybe we're looking at a different set of courses.
This-
So
this
you want to
is the-
copy this into another one?
I was trying to copy that other one into here.
Into this,
And so
okay.
now it's here. Oh my
Cool.
God,
Did
it's
it do
here.
those pictures for you? Did you do them?
AI did it.
Nice. I like that.
Did all of them.
Yeah.
Oh my
'Cause it
God.
takes me quite a while to put pictures in.
But, well, I was doing that till I learned from AI. So what happened was, I don't know how this happened, but it's here. Oh my goodness, let me look and see. Let me look here.
And do you have, is this an online or?
This
oh,
is-
in person?
This is gonna be my face-to-face, but I wanted to take it from, I just did all the work in the,
Oh, that's
the
great.
online
Exploring
one.
your authentic self. I like it. And so that's a discussion that you
That's a
generated or it
discussion.
did?
this one, I don't know, because I've changed so many of them. I created this class online one 13 years ago, and they needed it updated.
Yeah.
So in this one, I have, changed my text, left the textbook.
I did mine 13 years ago too. and we
Course
needed it
review.
to go through peer
Course
review.
overview. Yeah, if you did yours, so what happens? Do you have to teach it so many times before they accept it or anything, or? I hope not.
No, they go through looking for certain criteria to be filled, and you don't have to fill them all, but there's a bunch of them. And I can't remember where I got the list of what it's supposed to have.
Okay.
And Kevin Foreman was the one who knew, so I don't know who took over for him in terms of guiding.
Oh,
us.
Julie. I've been meeting with
Julie
her.
or Jessica?
Julie. Her name is Julie
I don't know who that would be.
H. Aveka or something. It's in a contract.
Cool.
So I'm using an open resource.
Oh, good for you.
So here it is. here it is in PDF form, and here are the other books that they can get out of the library.
Yeah, and so any, like, any kind of PDF, when you get the paid version of ChatGPT, you can feed the PDF into it. And you can say, go look for the following things and give me some ideas of, like, where are they in the PDF and what are they dealing with? So if you're looking for a particular topic, it'll go through the whole PDF and find them for you.
Okay.
Or you can summarize stuff, or you can say, give me a bullet point list on the following topic, and it'll search the whole thing. And so you can do a ton of stuff with it. You could say, hey, read this PDF, and based on that, suggest some exercises for students, or create an exam.
This is Laura. She said don't sign her out.
What I like to do is create fill in the blank exams. And I say do it at a high school level because I'm going to use it as a discussion generator and not as a formative assessment. So I got this fill in the blanks exam, and I give it 10 concepts I want it to make the exam out of. And then I tell it you can't use the words I'm giving you. So you got to talk around the concept. And not a lot, so if it's a concept of autonomy, you can't actually say the word autonomy. But the answer is autonomy. And it's got the answers at the end. And two things I've discovered is I can tell Chat to make it more ambiguous. And now it generates more discussion because there's multiple answers that could be right for the question. And then I said, here, do that exact same quiz over again, only make it a story that involves dragons and stingrays and beach balls. And it writes this whole story. Now it does it in story form. My students are like, I love this story.
Great. Thank you. I'll keep playing. See ya.
need it for this meeting, or you take it back?
I'm gonna need this for this meeting. I'll grab it. Is this, oh, still, something is being recorded.